So are you doing your usual making it work well. There's a video to bring around dance. Otherwise, it's always a challenge. So I always be first on the presentation before. Okay. Yeah, okay. Right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Daiwa Anglo-Japanese Foundation. My name is Jason James, and all I'm going to do is the housekeeping announcements really at the beginning. And we're having a bit of a problem with this Apple laptop, so I hope that they'll sort that out before we get to the crucial moment. So anyway, in terms of the housekeeping announcements, they are, first of all, if the fire alarm should go off, and please don't use the lift. You have to go down the stairs, down 2 floors, out the front door, and we will collect on the park side of the street. And don't worry, that hasn't happened for certainly several years. And the second thing is, please don't leave any valuables in our cloakrooms downstairs. Nobody is monitoring them. So if you've got a laptop or something like that down there, I suggest you pop down and pick it up and keep it with you. Right, and we've got a bit of a cast of thousands today. These post offices don't run themselves. But so just very briefly, somebody's missing. Oh yeah, there you go. Okay, all right. So here we have Saya Kubota, who describes herself as artist and postal worker. And then Eiko Honda. We have Brian Payne, who is he hasn't yet got his uniform; it's still on order, but he's actually a postmaster, and actually used to work for the General Post Office in the UK. He's wearing his British Telecom tie or something at the moment. Yeah. And then the final person I need to introduce is Robin Mason. You better stand up and show yourself. So Robin Mason is head of fine art at City Guilds of London Art School, and he's going to do the next bit of introductions, I think.
Yes, brief context.
Right. Yeah. And they're still fiddling with the laptop. But over to you, okay, Robin.
Hello, everyone. I'll keep it very brief. The one thing I do want to say before I start, and that is, it's probably the wrong thing to say at the moment, but I want to congratulate Japan for winning at rugby the other day. It's quite an extraordinary historic moment, and let's see what happens tomorrow. Last summer, Tomiko O'Brien, the principal of City Guilds of London Art School, was participating in an artist residency in Yokobo Art Space, organised in partnership with Tokyo University of the Arts. This pilot project involved working with an intern from Tokyo University of the Arts and also running a one-week masterclass for MA and PhD students. At this time, Tomiko was delighted to meet Saya Kubota. Yeah. She was very impressed with her and thought she was an exceptional young artist. Naturally, she was happy to invite her to the art school in London and pleased that she was interested in what we had to offer. As a small specialist art school that focuses on contemporary fine art alongside historic carving and conservation of cultural artifacts, they realized that there was a strong meeting point between our context and focus on skills and the embracing of both traditional and innovation, and Saya's interest in reparation. I knew I'd stick on that word, reparation, interpretation and handcrafting. This year was the first time we invited artists to work in the art school alongside our own students, with three residencies including Saya's. It has been an enriching experience. We have really enjoyed Saya's presence and seen her work develop over this time. Saya has only been with us for 6 months, and during that time, she has been totally committed to her work, to research and to developing the Missing Post Office Project UK, alongside her recent Artist in Residence exhibition at the art school. We are very pleased to have been able to host Saya and support her in her studies. It's been a really positive experience for us in celebrating a shared common focus and a dialogue between fine arts and conservation departments, where contemporary and ancient materials, process and hand skills have all been embraced by Saya. We're looking forward to repeating the 6 months research residencies for a new young Japanese artist, but also looking forward to the new year when Saya will once again be visiting us for a short time to prepare for her one-person show here at the Daiwa Foundation. Thank you.
Sorry, it's not working. So
you're going to do this with the other.
yeah, we use this.
Yeah.
I'll just say a little bit about Saya. Actually, at the art school, we did a questionnaire about these artist in residence positions with the students, and one of the bit of feedback came back about Saya, and there were no names on these questionnaires, and it said that she was a star. And the thing about that is that it wasn't just that she's a star with her work, but she's also a star that sort of brightens up the place as well and makes the place a sort of really good environment to be in. So it's really nice that you're all here to share something of our relationship with Saya's being a star as well.
Thank you so much.
Should we talk about the rugby now? Did you watch the rugby?
High school was very famous for rugby.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So which position did you play?
I did top rugby.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, we got 2 more minutes. I think they're going to show it on a different laptop. Yeah. I assume Saya didn't always wear the uniform every day.
She didn't, but we should. You could actually design a new art school uniform. But she's designed a uniform for you, isn't she?
Well, since we have a post box here at Daiwa, I'm rather hoping I might get the postmaster's uniform as well, like Brian.
I'm sure it could be adjusted. For a small fee.
I don't think we can share one. We need separate ones.
Well, that would be good. Yes. Yes. Twins, only the mother can tell them apart.
There's a little bit of coincidence in this whole relationship, because the art school is in Kennington, and alongside the art school is an old GPO building. And Saya was at the, where were you visiting?
British Postal Archives.
The British Postal Archive.
Yes.
And
We met at the postal tour.
so they met at the postal store. But it happened when he came along to the art school recently to talk with Saya and to sort of be measured up for his uniform. He then realised that 30 years before he'd worked in the GPO building, which overlooks the art school, So he'd actually spent time looking down at the art school, watching the students, and then suddenly found himself being looped back into it by a sire. So it's always a quite nice story to everything you do, isn't there?
Okay. Are you copying the file?
Yeah, it's a video file.
Yeah, I think it's just Housekeeping Actions.
We're very sorry about it.
Reparations.
Sorry.
It's really nicely into the mic. Yeah, that's right. Just try screwing that in. It's always a mistake.
Just an example, in the old days before computers, we used to write letters and send them to the post. Before email.
And they used to arrive. Yeah. Unlike this presentation. So I wouldn't move it any more than you have to.
Hello. I would like to start by saying that I'm delighted to have had the chance to hold this talk event and to develop and exhibit the Missing Post Office project in the UK. To everyone at the City and Guild of Arts London School who made my 6-month residency such a brilliant experience, and to all the staff of the Daiwa Anglo-Japanese Foundation who have made today's talk event possible, and finally to all of you who have attended today, I would like to express my deepest thanks. Well, my English is not perfect, but I would like to share the details of this project with you as clearly as possible. So I hope you will please forgive me for reading from a script. As you can see, I'm presenting this talk event part of a girl power of 3 there, Annabelle, Eiko, and Sarah, and have been consulted with the curator of Missing Post Office project, and further with translation help with project assistant Annabelle James. We hope you will enjoy the talk. I would like to start by talking about what exactly the Missing Post Office is. Can you see? At Missing Post Office, we received and look after letters you want to write but don't know where to send. The post office is kind of a postage stamp where letters are collected in a missing PO box while awaiting delivery someday to an unknown destination. Until then, the letters are not left to drift, floating in a liminal space under our custody. We accept any letter addressed to anyone, to anything. Letters from the past, present, future. Letters about objects, incidents, places. Letters to strangers, old friends, lovers, family, pets, imaginary or famous people. We invite you to post a letter like a message in a bottle that will float on the sea of the time. A letter to anyone, anywhere, at any time, in any language, which might one day arrive here with us and be washed ashore to you as a reader. This is me, and there is the postmaster. Later on, we will introduce the details of the Missing Post Office UK, which will be exhibited here at Daiwa. But first, after showing you the video of the Missing Post Office in Aoshima, Japan, recorded in winter last year, I would like to explain a little about the Missing Post Office developed. I would be delighted if I could share with you a little of the atmosphere, both Aoshima and of the Missing Post Office. Could you tell me how to?
Good.
So this is the Awashima, where the Missing Post Office is.
平均年齢が80歳くらいなので、高齢者しか住んでない。
So the average age of demography is 80 years old, and only majority of the people who live in the elderly people.
ゲートボールをしている。
They were playing gate ball.
あれが漂流郵便局。
So that's the Missing Post Office.
彼女が毎朝手紙を届けに来てくれる。
She delivers mails every morning.
いたい1日に3、40通くらい最近は手紙が届くようです。
So nowadays I receive about 30 to 40 letters a day.
このように手紙を預かって中田さんに私がお渡しします。
As you can see, I take the letters and hand it over to Mr. Nakata.
これが支所箱なのですけど、この中に手紙をどんどん入れていきます。
This was a post box where all the received letters are placed.
今これは消印を押しているところなんですけれども、
So they're pressing
reception.
中田さんはその消印からどこから手紙が来たのか判断することができるので、どこから手紙が来たか私にも教えてくれている。
So he's able to recognize where each letter's come from, was sent from, by looking at the stamp design. So he was telling her where each letter's come from.
数え方がやっぱり郵便局長なんてすごく綺麗で、
So the way he cut letters is very beautiful because he was a head post office worker.
でもここで25枚って言ってたのに38枚だった。
But he said it was 25, but it was actually 38. Might not be very reliable.
こうやって手紙を見ながら、その日あったことを話しつつ、中に支所箱に入れていく作業っていうのをやっていました。
So they place these, each of the letters into the PO box here by looking at each letters and talking about what's happened today.
箱がこのように回るんですけれども、
So the table actually turns like this.
これを回すときに波の音が聞こえるようになっているんですね。
And as you turn the table, you can actually hear it imitates the sound of the wave, ocean wave.
私が長く回しすぎたら中田さんがすごく怒って、
So when she turns the table for a long time, Mr. Nakata got very angry.
島で暮らしているからわかるけど、波の長さっていうのはもう少し短いんだ。
Because I know, because I've been living on this island for a long time, that the length of the wave, ocean wave, is much shorter.
でも私は長いと思ってて、
But I believed it was longer.
一緒に海に行って聞きに行って、
So they went to the beach together to listen to the ocean wave.
で中田さんが正しかった。
And actually, Mr. Nakata was right.
夜はこんな風に島の風景をプロジェクターで投影しているので、
So in the evening, in the missing post office, they project scenery of the island.
なので昼間の光が恐竜郵便局の中からリフレクションで見えてくるという。
So that you'll be able to see the light of the daytime from the missing post office building at night.
Thank you.
You want to get it? No.
The first time I visited Awashima in summer 2013, it was for research for my ongoing work in progress for the Setouchi Triennale. The first thing that I caught my eye when I stepped off the boat was the amount of flotsam and jetsam washed on the beach, which astonished me. Plastic bottles, an ornamental dog, lamps which once belonged to ships, rusted empty cans, golf balls, rounded pieces of glass, and so on. I wondered, where could all of this possibly come from? Walking around the island, I came across an old post office right at the center of it. Eventually, it was this place that was transformed into the missing post office. That was the old photograph of the post office, and the down is the missing post office. Oh, so large. I walked through, but it wasn't locked, and when I looked inside, I could see many of original post office facilities. The window counter, the post box, even the telephone switchboard room, all coated in dust. Thinking of all the things, people and events that had taken place here in the past, as I saw myself reflected in the glass, I thought, it is though I myself had drifted ashore into this place. I felt some which had washed up on the beach, and all the posts that had come to this place in the past, and finally the thought of myself, who had come to visit this place by accident, became interminable in my thoughts, and all of a sudden the name of the missing post office came to my mind. There are small drawings there, but shaped like a small airplane propeller, the island of Awashima was once 3 separated islands. Gradually, tidal flow built up a sound which linked the island together, and it took the form it has today. Shortly after leaving the island, I realized that creating the missing post office there and causing many different letters and visitors together and accumulate was simply like another part of the same flow of events through which this island, as it is today, has become connected to so many different drifting objects. This is Awashima. When I began working on my residency at Awashima, I began to think about what it really means to drift. In order to gain a better understanding of this, I decided to drift in the sea for an hour each evening. For the first time in my life, I put on the snorkel and drifted afloat over the water. Fish were passing by in front of me. The waves from boats made the sand whirl up in drift so that I couldn't see the sea bottom. Sometimes there were great many things down there. Sometimes nothing seemed to have changed. Floating in my skirt, I could feel the delicate motion of the waves. At that moment, I thought that surely the reason human hair exists is to perceive such delicate hints of movement. I'm floating. I had not decided the direction of which I would continue to float like this, and I wasn't particularly trying to move. But having said that, I also once fixed in place so that in beginning it was an easy and lonesome sensation. I started to think about how we might never really know the location of anything, no matter where it is, in precisely the same way that I felt like my own location was unknown. At the same time, the day I stepped inside the post office for the very first time, I felt very real sensation that I myself was just a part of one larger, greater current, not curator, sorry. just objects of flotsam and just some drift. So too do the postal items and I myself, as well as this whole island, even the stars, each and any one of them constantly moving, so that perhaps nothing is truly fixed in place. One day, on my way back from the sea, I realized that Japanese words implying a sense of the lonesome or idea of an unknown location had their counterpoint in the English word missing. It was from that I decided upon the English title, Missing Post Office. In Japanese, we say Hyoryu Yurinjoku. Hyoryu is mean drifting, but I choose missing. Now I would like to explain a little about inside the missing post office. Huge. As you saw in the video, this is the missing post office box installed in the center of Awashima Missing Post Office. The role of the missing post office box is not to be what one might call a time capsule, but rather to be something overlaid on top of the seashore, onto which these letters seem to flow like messages in bottles. The letters are not organized or kept as a stock of the post office. Rather, the post office is devised to let the letters drift. No matter what moment in time or what person or things in the letter's destination, through the device of the missing post office, they are left drift on the sea of time. Even though they may belong at the same time, they remain the property of no one. Today, over 7,000 letters from all across Japan have been entrusted to the missing post office box at Awashima. Anyone who visited the missing post office can read them, and if they find a letter which is addressed to themselves, we offer them to chance to take the letters with them. Letters which are not addressed to oneself must be returned to the box. For the opening of the missing post office, I created postal uniforms. The double gold lines you see at the neckline are reference to the uniform of the post office workers who were involved in the marine shipping during the Meiji period. The fabric used replicates as closely as possible the type, the texture of the uniforms of the former Awashima Post Office's original workers, as well as the sailors of the Awashima Naval College. At all the same time, this uniform explores the appearance of new missing postal worker. I would now like to speak a little about Mr. Nakata, the postmaster of the Awashima Missing Post Office. He's 10th generation postmaster in Awashima. During Mr. Nakata's work as a postmaster for 1950 to 1990, Awashima was prosperous island in the shipping trade. Many of the islanders worked as sailors and spent long periods of time away of sea voyages. In order to make contact with the so-called fathers on board boats sailing very far away, a telephone switchboard room in the Awashima Post Office featured various pieces of equipment, including a telegram machine, which seems to have held an important role in the community. Postmaster Nakata, having worked for 45 years at this post office, retired in 1998. Now, for the first time in about 15 years, The building has been restored, and I'm delighted that Mr. Nakata has kindly agreed to reside there once again as the missing post office postmaster. Now, this is not a nice thing to say, but to tell you the truth, Nakata-san and I have had many arguments over the past 2 years. As a performer and an artist, the two of us had clashed countless times, and through that process, we have gradually altered both the project and its form. Now, it feels like we're family working together on this family business, and I'm truly grateful and happy that he has been able to support the missing post office. Through the gradual accumulation of fortunate encounters in Aoshima, as well as the various historical features, which I noticed then began to investigate, the missing post office was born. The Aoshima post office was in operation during the 2013 Seto Triennale, and today it continues to be resting place for the letters of unknown destination. The post which travels to and from there by hand, and the flotsam which comes and goes to Awashima by the power of nature, and further the mysterious power of something, through which all of us come and go and encounter one another again and again on this island. All of these things make this place seem to me like single water edge, onto which anyone and anything may be washed ashore. From there, moving from Awashima to Britain, I would like to speak little about Missing Post Office UK. As I mentioned at the beginning, from April this year, I have had a good fortune to undertake an artist's residency at City and Guilds of London Art School, where I have been conducting research and developing new work. At that time, I thought it would certainly be a dream if I would be able to install the missing post office in the UK through understanding residency. Various chance accidents occurred through which I was able to meet the staff of Taiwan Anglo-Japanese Foundation, as well as the curator, Eiko Honda, so that I have been able to exhibit the missing post office in the UK as well. In the time that it has been taken to launch the project, I have been able to meet the team members of the missing post office, and we have been able to create a strong exhibition in only a short place of time, for which I'm truly delighted. I would like to thank everyone who has helped us. In Japan in 1871, the postal system was brought over Hisoka Maejima, and the postal system created by the Englishman Rowland Hill was introduced into the country. During the Meiji Restoration, the schools, railways, and posts in Japan were compared to the brain, veins, and blood flow of the human body. So we can say that the introduction of the postal system of England has played a very important role within Japan's modernization. To symbolize this project, I designed MPO UK's emblem to be a combination of Britain's General Post Office and Japan Post Service. This emblem was produced by historical cover Ms. Takakojin. MPO. As an artist, I'm delighted that this missing post office project has been made possible in England, in what might be called the birthplace of the modern postal system. At this point, I would like to turn to Eiko Honda, who will explain a little further about Missing Post Office UK. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for Saya for the wonderful presentation. I'm sure by this point everyone is very curious to learn how and where Missing Post Office will take place and how you could take part. The main UK branch is planned to open as part of Saya's solo exhibition here at the Daiwa Foundation from 19th of January to 22nd of February next year. But prior to the opening of the branch, we are hoping to receive as many letters as possible from now for them to be part of the exhibition. In order to do this, the Daiwa Foundation kindly offered to become our temporary PO box. So there are two ways to participate. So the first way is to post your letters directly to the MPO UK in the care of Daiwa Foundation, as you can see the address here. And the other way is to post through our MPO PO box, post boxes, one of which will be available at the Icon Gallery in Birmingham from 9th of October to 23rd of December this year. Birmingham is a very relevant site for us because the 19th century postal reformer Rowan Hill, which Saya already introduced, came from a town called Kidderminster, just outside the Birmingham. And there used to be a statue of Rowan Hill to commemorate him at the former General Post Office in the city, which is now, of course, replaced by Saya Kubota's statue. And we also distribute special MPO UK postcards, which can be found downstairs after the talk, with second-class stamp placed already. And we are in conversation with other potential partner galleries to host this MPO UK postbox in other regional cities in the UK, really to try reach out to people in and beyond London. And there are 3 notices we would like you to read before you post your letters to us. You can find the details on your handout leaflets, which I hope you have today, and on our website. And it can be written in any language. Since UK is such a multicultural country, we thought some people might prefer to write in their own language other than English. And all received letters will be looked after by us, by the Missing Post Office UK team and our UK postmaster, Mr. Payne, who we are hoping to introduce very shortly. And once the exhibition has closed, the letter will be shipped to Missing Post Office in Awashima, where you will be able to visit and find thousands more of letters. So we would now like to introduce Mr. Payne, our MPO UK postmaster. And Mr. Payne used to work for the Telephone Exchange Department of the General Post Office UK and kindly took up the role of the postmaster after a serendipitous encounter at the storehouse of the British Postal Archive and Museum, which has been a great resource for our research. We were both visiting, and for the occasion of this talk event, Mr. Payne selected 3 of his favorite letters received and published in Japanese earlier this year. The book is, I think, will be available downstairs later as well. Okay. So, yes, if you'd like to show me to
Just as I'm older, I need to change my glasses, I'm afraid. Good evening. It seems somehow suitable to address you in this way, as you race through the perpetual darkness unknown to anyone. Voyager 1. I've heard that last year you finally crossed the outermost edge of the heliosphere. I wonder if you've already made new friends. I'm not very good at making friends, so I'm slightly jealous of you, representing Earth and being able to meet the newest, still unknown friends. Many decades from now, no matter how far you've gone, perhaps you'll be surpassed by Voyager 100. Then perhaps, unfortunately, there will be people who make fun of you for leisurely wasting so many years. But I'm proud of what you've achieved day after day. I really believe that the friends who you met first will never forget you, the first adventurer they encountered from Earth. From now on, please take care of yourself and keep doing your best. To my father and mother in heaven, I first became separated from you as a teenager, and I have not said thank you. Now, over 65 years have passed. But once again, Father, Mother, thank you for raising me. I was very happy at that time with my older sister Kay and the 2 of you. With a heart loaded full of red and white carnations, I say to you, thank you. It must have been so hard to live through the war and afterwards. And finally, this one really does touch me. For my 70-year-old self to myself aged 80, are you keeping well every day? Or perhaps you're getting weak. But I pray that you are laughing a lot, singing, holding lots of get-togethers with friends, going to the old people's home day service, and carrying that tote bag that I'm making now to do your shopping, and so on. If I try really hard to imagine it, I'm looking forward to my 80th year. Well then, my only wish for my 70-year-old self is that I can welcome my 80th year with no trouble at all. Thank you.
We might move on to John.
Oh. Thank you. Yeah. Do you want anyone to miss any good thing to do? There's one microphone.
Oh, this one is microphone.
So it should be okay. Just for slide show.
So we wanted to have a little bit of discussion first between us and then open up to the floor to take questions. I was wondering if, Taya, you could talk about how you relate to the Missing Post Office project might have changed in the past 6 months residency here in London, because for example, you were talking about how taking restoration class at Sitting Guilds Art School and speaking to restoration specialists made you think a lot about what it might mean to treat old objects and also pay respect to them.
もともとこのシティ&ギルズに来たのは修復の学校だったので、その古いものに対してどういうふうにビヘイビアするのかっていうのを習いに来たところなんですけども。
So the original reason why she wanted to come to have a residency there was because in order to research about how to treat old things. Yeah.
もともと考古学に興味があって、縄文土器を使った作品を作っていたんですけれども、
And so she's been interested in archaeology for a long time. She was making some work using Jomon period pottery.
それで日本の土壌っていうのはすごく湿度が高くて、物がすぐ溶けてしまう土壌なので、考古学的なものも残っているものと残っていないものがすごく分かれていて、木でできたものなどは溶けてしまう傾向になります。
So because the Japanese soil and the climate is very humid, there's a clear distinction between things that last until now and things that melt away. So for example, if it was made with wood, it would disappear. It would have disappeared.
なので、まずこっちに来て思ったことは、学校と少しかけ離れてしまいますけど、顔を洗った後に顔がパリパリすること。
So the first thing I thought, it might sound a little bit well, away from the school, but when I washed my hand, so when I washed my face, it felt quite dry on the skin.
あと、お菓子がしなびないことと、
and her snacks and sweet doesn't go soft because it's very dry.
洗濯物が乾くこと。
And it was easier to dry washing.
でも、その感覚的にすごく乾いているっていうことが、物が残っていることだっていうのにすごくつながって見えてきて、で、シティ&ギルズの学校の中ですごくたくさんのものがあるっていう状況に囲まれるっていうことがまず一つ大きな体験です。
So the fact that she experienced these feelings by just being here, and also to be surrounded by very old objects in City and Guilds was the one of the first biggest influence.
なので、漂流郵便局の日本の木造建築は割ともう壊れ始めていて、古いものは建て直すという風習があるんですけれども、
So the building of the missing post office in Awashima is made out of wood. So it is actually falling apart now, and there's custom to rebuild old things, old buildings in Japan.
で、私もいずれは島にあるものたちも全部なくなっていくものだと思っていたけれども、
So I used to thought that objects, things that exist on the island of Awashima would also disappear someday.
でもこのレジデンシーに来てからそういう古いものに対してどういうふうにアプローチをすれば残していけるのか、あるいは残さないまでもどういうアーカイブの仕方が一番正しいのかっていうのを考える機会になります。
So through this residency, this residency was really a good occasion for her to think how she could try preserve these things, but also even if she didn't preserve it, how she could archive them. Thank you. So you mentioned the word archive, the archiving of things that happened in the past or objects that exist in the world. There's a very strong tradition here in the UK, and but then at the same time, the nature of missing post office is not to necessarily archive them in a way that the manager of the post office would be sorting out clearly for people to be able to find where things are, and also decide what it's supposed to represent. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about that difference as well.
漂流郵便局は手紙が来るんだけれども、その手紙をなるべくストックしないようにする仕組みにしています。
So at Missing Post Office, we receive letters, but we try not to stock them up.
漂流支所箱の中には必ずあるけれども、どこにあるかわからないっていう不思議なアーカイブの仕方をしています。
So the way we archive them is really to place these letters in our PO box, but people won't be able to tell where they are.
なので、必ずどこかにあって、それを見てリサーチをするっていうようなアーカイブとはまた違うんですけれども。
So it's a different kind of archive where it's not where you can identify where things are and research through that kind of method.
でもその緩やかなつながりのアーカイブの仕方っていうのがすごく私は面白いなと思っています。
But I find it's interesting that this way of archiving, more fluid way of archiving things.
島に滞在していたのが半年だったんですけれども、
So it was 6 months that she stayed on the island as a resident.
その半年間の間にずっと私は海のそばに住んでいて、で漂流物が現れるんだけれども、また写真を撮りに来ようとして戻ってきたらなくなっているっていう状況がたくさんあります。
So there was many occasions during this time I was living on the island. I was living by the beach, and I would find a flotsam on the beach, and wanted to take a photo of them sometimes, and she would come back with a camera, but she wouldn't find it again.
風景も同じで、何もかももう一回来た時には同じ姿はもうないっていうのが日常的になってきました。
It's the same with the scenery. So she find a beautiful scenery and come back again, but it's not the same again. So things were not the same in the daily life on the island.
それでレジデンシーを終えて東京に戻ってきたり、またロンドンに来たりしたときに両方とも思ったことなんですけれども、例えば噴水とか光とかももう一回戻ってきたときに同じものが何回でも体験できるのがこういう都市なんだと思っていて。
So when I went back to Tokyo, and I realized that things like fountains, fountains, you'll be able to see the same kind of light through this mechanic system that's been already produced, and I realized that what it means to live in a city like this is to actually be able to repeatedly experience the same scenery.
なのでそのアーカイブを探しに行って、その探していたものを全く同じものを見つけて、それでリサーチするっていうことと、淡島の中でその漂流書箱でたまたま出会って見つけて探し合ってることっていうのは、その環境にすごく合っているなと思って。
So what's different about missing post office is that it's not like you go there and be able to research something by easily identifying where things are, but what's important with missing post office is that it's more of a chance encounter, coincidence, and you'll be able to engage with the archive through encounters, these kind of encounters. And I guess that's also related to how you were talking about you and Mr. Nakata changed, you said, quite a lot during the past how many years? 2 years. 2 years. And so you were talking about how you work at the missing post office and your sort of attitude towards running them. It has changed quite a lot. Can you tell us about that? Yeah.
中田さんと私は瀬戸内トリエンナーレが始まった1ヶ月目ですごく大きな喧嘩を1回して。
So, Mr. Nakata and I had a huge argument in the first month of the Setouchi Triennial.
中田局長は郵便局長としてやっぱり自分のやってきたことだとかいろんなことをお客さんに全て説明しないといけないと思っていて。
So Mr. Nakata, as a former postmaster of the post office, he saw that it was his responsibility to explain everything about the post office.
でも私はアーティストとして皆さんに違和感を持って帰ってもらいたい、体験を持って帰ってもらいたいと思ったので、ある程度言わないようにしていたというところがぶつかり合った。
But as an artist myself, I wanted the visitors to go back home with a kind of uncomfortable feeling or like strange feeling that still carries some kind of mystery.
わかりやすい例を挙げると中田さんは新聞で取り扱われたら嬉しくなってそれを何十枚もコピーして郵便局の中に貼っちゃうんですよ。お札みたいに。
So, for example, clear example, very easy example would be that if Missing Post Office was featured on the newspaper, he gets so happy and excited that he makes 10 photocopies, for example, and put them up inside of the Missing Post Office.
それで私がそれを全部剥がすとなんでだっていうふうに思って。
But I would take them down, and but if I did that, he would get really mad. Why?
でもこの2年間の中で漂流郵便局の流れみたいなものができてきて、でそれを見ているうちに私も中田さんも一歩郵便局から引いた視点で郵便局をお守りしようという形になります。
So through the past 2 years of running the Missing Post Office, there's been a kind of MPO flow that they've learned together, and so rather than trying controlling the place, they came to learn how to step back a little bit and then observe the flow of the letter coming in and out.
だからその不思議なアーカイブの仕方が成り立っているんだと思います。
So this is why she thinks that this mysterious way of archiving exists.
私も中田さんもただの管理人でしかなくて何もコントロールはしないというスタンスに落ち着きます。
So they finally settled to a stance where they won't be, either of them won't be controlling them, but they are simply a manager of the place, managers of the place. Okay. Thanks. Shall we open up to the floor?
Can I just say a few words before going into the question? Because I took a liberty of visiting this island in July, simply because we were, planning this. How can I say the Missing Post Office UK version? I just felt I need to see the original Missing Post Office in Awashima. And I did meet Mr. Nakata, and he did tell me about the argument he had. And no, he didn't put up all those photocopies all around the walls now, but he has the file. And this project in Japan is so popular, so well known now. Lots of TV companies just came to feature that. And then it's only 2 weeks ago or something, one of my friends told me, oh, I saw it on TV, something like that. And then it was an article on so many Japanese quality papers, nationwide papers. So obviously, Nakata-san is very proud of being there. He's basically brown herring. He's just there. But I think now it's giving him the power and an energy to live everyday life. And he was so happy to be involved. And I just felt, and then when we decided to do this, I was a bit worried about the concepts of writing a letter to somebody who will never receive it. And then in Japan, obviously you can see all those letters and then postcards. Quite a few of them are writing letters to somebody already deceased. Or maybe they're writing to your future you. But then I just thought maybe the concept or the philosophy of how to accept a death of your very close people is so different in Japan and Britain or the Western world. I was a bit worried, and then at the same time I was very much interested how this project would be accepted in this country. It's not about, writing a letter to somebody deceased, but in Japan, lots of people consider it as a chance to reconcile or to accept something unacceptable by writing to either yourself or to, I happened to read this postcard, and then Nakata-san told me this particular woman of 60-something, and her daughter died at 32, 33, leaving 2 grandchildren behind. And she is, for the last more than a year, every day she sends a postcard to her daughter, every day, writing about the grandchildren. And then while standing there for about 10 minutes reading her sort of postcard, it was some kind of experience. I don't share the experience, but it's lots of people walk into this post office, spend hours just reading other people's letters and their postcards. But then you are soaked with something. And then some people told me that having postmaster there, you're going to be one, the postmaster there, it makes it so different. When you write something, there's somebody, there's a human actually receiving it. And it makes so much difference. And then I think it's a very good idea of saying that this is a post office, but it's not just an art project, but person is there and then receiving your letter. Sorry, I'm getting too long. Any questions? Any questions?
I wonder, I know this is an art project and not a political project, for example, but I wonder how much is it a chance that the British Post Office has been privatised recently. Japan Post famously is starting to be privatised this year. And it stirs up a lot of feeling in people, perhaps, because the British Post Office system and the Japanese one both had a public service promise that any letter would be delivered anywhere for the same price. And so it was really a flow of communication between everybody that was intended by the whole thing. Is there any sense of that kind of flow of communication between people, even though it's a chance one in your case? Or is it nothing to do with those privatisation issues and so on?
Thank you.
Too long question.
I can speak in Japanese. 実際にそういうことがあったということを私は詳しく存じ上げてませんでした。
So she wasn't aware that some people are not able to receive letters as easily as before. But she's asking if people can still send letters. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
素晴らしい、ローランドヒルの素晴らしいなと思ったのは、日本全国、他の国もそうですけど、同じ値段でどこからでも送れるということが素晴らしかった。
So one of the things that she thought was fantastic about that Roland Hill established was that it's about penny black. Penny black, that you'll be able to send letters with the same cost from anywhere.
なので、初めプロジェクトをしたときは、地域のお祭りみたいに、ああ、そこでお姉ちゃんがやってるねみたいな感じで島の人が集まってきたりしてたんですけれども。
So when she initially started this project, the islanders thought, oh yes, they're doing something. This young girl is doing something there.
でも、同じ情報をばらまくだけで、同じコストでプロジェクトに参加することができるっていうのがすごく素晴らしくて。
But it was fantastic that by distributing the same information, people were able to participate with the same cost.
なので、ローランドヒルの郵便制度のおかげで北海道とかいろんなところから急に手紙が来だしたときは、私たちも急になんかグローバルじゃないですけど、グローバルになってるような。
So when they started receiving letters from Hokkaido, for example, the far north part of Japan, they've because of this system created by Lauren Hill originally, she felt that we all of a sudden became global.
Any opinions, in the age of emails, and what is the point of, the post office writing a letter and then? Any questions? Okay.
So I will post the question in Japanese in order to save time. どうして、この郵便局の建物は使われてなかったんですか？他の住民の方はどうやって郵便局が一見もその島なければどうやってお手紙なんかを送っていたんですか？
So the question was, why this missing post office, this post office that turns into missing post office, wasn't in use on this island, and how did Iceland, were they receiving letters on the island?
郵便局は実は中田局長の持ち物で、
It's actually a possession. It belongs to Mr. Nakata.
で、彼が郵便局員をしていたときに島の高齢化が進んだために島の真ん中にある郵便局までみんな汗を垂らしてくるのをすごくかわいそうに思ったようで。
So when the island began to experience aging society, he felt very bad that people on the island come to, mostly elderly people, come to the post office in the middle of the island, sweating, walking, making a journey there.
なので、彼が自費で港に郵便局を移したんです。
So he moved the post office to the port, near port, with his own expense.
30年前くらいだと思ったんですけれども。
That was 30 years ago, I think.
で、それで残っていた郵便局の方を地域の活動の荷物を入れる場所として保管していたんだけれども。
So the post office that was left behind, turned into missing post office, he was using it to store things for the community when they do things, communal activities.
でも郵便局のファシリティが素晴らしかったので、いつか何かに使えるんじゃないかということで、その切手入れだとか、いろんなものをそのまま保存しておいてくださったのが、今回のプロジェクトにつながりました。
So that because the facility there was fantastic, and he was hoping that one day it would be in use again, and that was now connected to this project.
りがとうございます。
Thank you very much.
Two questions, please. Of the project I know, and what happens to the letters in the end? How many hours will be stored there?
Sorry, I couldn't hear the second question.
最終的にその手紙をどうする
What
んです
will
か
happen to letters in the end? Will they be stored there forever, or what will happen?
手紙を最終的にどうするのかっていうのはすごく難しいことで、
That's a very difficult question.
皆さんにお伝えしているときは、もし漂流支所箱がいっぱいになったり、私たち管理人がもしいなくなってしまったりしたときは、新しい漂流システムを作りますと伝えてありますが。
So what I tell people normally is that if one day the PO box at MPO got filled up, or either of us disappeared, and I normally tell people that we will come up with a new system.
でも今一番必要なのは一時的なお祭りのようなアートプロジェクトではなくて、ずっと長らく続いていて小さい文化になっていくような何かを続けたいという思いから始めたので。
But what's most important, and also the original idea why she started this, is because instead of short-term, what's needed, she thinks, is that instead of short-term kind of festivals, she wanted to create a kind of culture, some kind of culture that would last for a long time.
なので、とりあえず中田さんが元気な限り、私が元気な限りは末永く続けていきたいと思います。
So as long as Mr. Nakata is well and I'm well, I would like to continue doing this.
もう2つ目の経済的に経済的なことにつきましては、最初の4ヶ月間は瀬戸内トリエンナーレより助成金をいただいておりました。
So the first, in terms of how we financing this project, is that the past 4 months we were receiving funding from the Setouchi Triennial.
でも、もちろんその金額では足りなかったので、
Of course, that wasn't sufficient.
私の作品を売って、その売れた作品からお金を回していました。
So how I was financing is that by selling my work, because she also makes different kinds of work that can be obtained, and by raising funding through sales of my artworks, I was running the project.
です。ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
Could you ask one little question? Have you got any views on the new postal wonder links to the computer generation? That's eBay. Any thoughts about eBay in relation to post office and posting objects?
Can you explain that?
It's more to do with your use of eBay in your other practice, and just the thought that it actually relates to a new form of it's sort of rejuvenated parcel delivery. And I know that you've used eBay to purchase objects, and whether that's something that you have considered about the relationship between the letters and parcels.
小包と手紙の関連性について思うことは、eBay とかインターネット。
No.
小包が届くときはすごく嬉しいですね。
It's always nice. It makes me very happy when I receive parcels.
でもやっぱりお手紙をもらうときと、あと物をもらうときっていうのは少し違うような気がしま
But I think there's a slight difference between when you receive a letter, or when you receive a parcel, and the object.
す。物はもっとその物自体にどういう物語があったかとかそういうことを思いを馳せるけれども、
With an object, it makes me wonder what kind of stories this object might carry behind it.
手紙自体にはもうその人の根幹が染み出ているというか、肉質で書かれているということによって、すごくその人自身の存在を多分しほこさんも感じ取っていただいたように。
But like Shihoko-san felt as well that with letters, you can actually feel the hand of the writer and the blood that runs behind it.
Can I ask you a question? How many of you actually regularly write letters in your life? Any of you, like when you would like to contact your family or good friends? I know British people send each other cards a lot, but what about like postcards from your holiday resorts or letters? Because you do. But the younger generation hardly ever handwrite any letters. But I actually deliberately send my son a handwritten cards or letters, thinking that text messages or emails might just vanish into thin air if something happens to the system. But if I keep sending him, maybe once a month, but then a real handwritten, because I still keep my mother's letters, and then it's handwritten, and then it's there forever. Although my mother's already gone, and obviously she didn't write emails. But then I want my son, when I'm gone, I want my son to cherish them. It's a tangible thing. And then you can see at this missing post office in Awashima, you can touch it, you can feel it, you can smell it, you can read this handwriting with characters kind of oozing out of those papers. I think that's something quite different from emails or what in Japan they use line or something like that. It's just one or two lines of messages which just vanishes into the thin air. So bringing back the importance of the letter writing, I think it's something quite actually fresh for the younger generation. I wrote about her project on my personal blog. Lots of people just responded. We kind of forgot about sending letters, but it's really good. And you sit down there and then you think about somebody who's not already around you. This particular woman was writing 20 pages of letter to her high school sweetheart, who didn't even look at her. But you can just feel she's still in love with this guy. But then that passion and energy was all put into this 20 pages. I got so tired. I think letter is so different from emails and text messages. So yes, with that. And can we just maybe Sarah made really this beautiful postcards for you to take back home, and then Daiwa invested some money into postal stamps, so you don't even have to go to post office to get
penny
That's the second class, yes.
Are they not
well, but if you would like to send this card to the Missing Post Office UK, which will be here from January, if you could send this, you're going to be part of this art project. You don't have to put down your name or even the recipient's name. You just, start writing your message here. So this is, I think I'm going to put it in the reception area, so you can just get one of those. Right. So sorry.
The post box is in the reception area.
No. But please take it back home and then take your time, write it down. and
there's
put
no
it in
Zambia.
the British Royal Mail system. And then this will drift in the system and then eventually float to the shore here. By the way, we also have postcard without a stamp. And if you think you can just write down here, leave it with us, that's fine as well. Right.
Right,
So,
okay, well, I think it's, we've overrun a little bit, but let's carry on downstairs, have a glass of wine. I should at this point mention all the upcoming events we've got. I haven't actually got my notes with me, but
you
first
can
of all,
go to our
there's
website.
our current exhibition, which you can look at downstairs, which is something entirely different from this project. And two events that we've got coming up that I do remember, they're stuck in my mind, so they must be particularly memorable ones. There's one about a film showing called Princes of the Yen, which is Professor Richard Werner of Southampton University, essentially arguing that the whole of Japan's economy is secretly controlled by the Bank of Japan for its own nefarious purposes. I haven't seen the film, so I don't know whether it makes sense or not, but that's on the 1st of October. And we also have another very interesting looking event, which I think is a little later in October, about shipwrecks off Okinawa. That's next week, is it? Okay, so anyway, they're all on our website. I can't remember the date of that one specifically. But we need to give a big hand to all of our postmasters and mistresses.